What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. My name's Micah, and today we're taking our DRZ400S through some off-road terrain. This should be super fun. So we're not climbing mountains, we're not taking massive MX style jumps. These are kind of just some softer, easier off-road trails. You know, we haven't been down here in a while, so we might encounter some surprises. And I always love me some off-road surprises. So as we're riding through, I'm gonna be kind of reviewing the bike and letting you know how I think it does off-road and how it is overall. I'll try and address some of the concerns that people have, you know, about these DRZs, with them being carbureted, having a 5-speed gearbox, and then them allegedly being heavy. So this should be super fun. We're gonna gear up and let's hit the trails. And of course, now it has started raining on us. It is nice and windy out as well. The weather always hates us. Whether we're riding motorcycles, shooting guns, we just never hit it just right. Well, and hopefully this bike isn't too loud. The exhaust I put on here is extremely obnoxious, but I love loud motorcycles, so it's not going anywhere. Alright, so here we go. The bike is ready, we are ready, so we'll just kind of take it nice and easy through these trails. Oh, okay. First roadblock. A huge patch of snow. You know what? We're still gonna send it. I wonder if we're gonna sink into it, or, oh, and it's muddy as hell. We are not turning around. All right. Started sketchy, that's always a good sign. So now as we're idling through these trails, like, I'm just in first gear right now, you know, our RPMs are not high, but we're putting right through with good speed. So a lot of people will complain that this motorcycle has a 5-speed gearbox instead of a 6. Well, to me that's ideal because I'm doing less shifting off-road. My first gear is going to be a little bit wider. You know, a lot of obstacles that we come to, I know I can do them in first gear. It's never a matter of, oh, should I be in first gear or second gear? Alright, so we got a little snow on this hill here. I think I can cut the corner. It looks pretty sloppy too. Whoa! Alright. I did not expect there to be those drifts of snow like that down in there. Still, I mean, we had gotten a lot of snow, but I thought it would all be melted. I knew it would be sloppy back in here, but woo! Gotta hit the little jumps where you can. So one thing on this motorcycle that really sets it apart from, you know, the main competition from Honda and Kawasaki, the CRF300L and then the KLX300, is that this motorcycle has really good suspension. And it's very adjustable too, so you can make it soft, you can make it stiff. Whereas the Kawasaki and the Honda, they just, ooh, that looks gnarly. They just are sprung pretty softly, you know? I mean, for mild trails and stuff like this, it can be fine, and it's very comfortable as you're cruising on the road. But as soon as you get to some more aggressive terrain, you know, some rocks and logs or things like that that you might have to hop over, you're just going to want a little bit stiffer suspension. Or for some monster hill climbs, when you really hit them right off the bat, you want that stiffer suspension so you don't quite squat down as much. Man, some ridiculous trees down back here. Oh, let's zip over here. See what we can find down here. Whoa, down tree. What I love about the DRZ400 is just the torque that you get compared to the, you know, the 300s and the 250s out there. Man, that is what really sets the DRZ apart for me, is just the sheer amount of torque that you get from this motor. You know, I think it's 28 or 29 foot-pounds of torque and 39 horsepower, which is really good, you know, for a bike that weighs just over 300 pounds. Oh, we got some hills here. Might kind of go up this side one here that's a little bit more tame, and then we'll spring up. Whoa! It was sloppy on that corner. We almost went down. It's part of the fun. Just kind of peek over the top of this and see. Yeah, she's pretty steep, that's for sure. I mean, it's not very long, you know, but kind of the initial incline of it is just fairly good. Well, let's see if we can't rip up this one. Whoa! Caught a little air at the top. See, that's where I skidded out. We're getting a little sideways there. Alright, we'll rip one more of these. Oh, let's pick the steepest one here. Well, it's probably about that one that we came down, I think. YOLO! Whoa, no problem at all. And it's just never a guessing game on this DRZ400 with the 5-speed transmission. Should I be in second gear or should I hit it in first? First is wide enough, you just rip it in first. You know, it's got the speed that you need. You know, in the slower technical stuff, sure, you're feathering the clutch a little bit more, but a good rider is always kind of ready to feather that clutch. You know, if we just buzz through this field real slow here, and I just kind of feather that clutch, I don't know if you can see in the camera here, I just have one finger on that clutch. And then I'm just slowly feathering the throttle. So you're feathering the throttle and the clutch, and that's how you creep around. And then when you need explosive power, drop that clutch and rev it a little bit, and it'll take you where you need to go. It won't let you down. Oh, we got a little tree here. We get to do a little log hop. Woohoo! Let's see if it works. Yep, like a charm. I needed to follow through on that a little bit better with my power. Kind of had our initial drop of the clutch, and then I needed to follow that up a little more. Alright, so now it's getting a little more technical in here with all the down trees. So, and I am not putting my feet down, they are up. We are just feathering our gas and our clutch as we creep through. We'll kind of take some, you know, the more difficult lines. We won't just completely stay on the path. Wow. Well, and we'll just go over here. Oh, what is this weird little path that kind of shoots up? I guess we'll take it. Whoa! Alright. It looks kind of greasy through there, but we'll see if we can't weasel our way through. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, we'll just go right in here. Woohoo! some people, as they're riding off-road, you know, they'll be on the path and then they see something like that to where there's trees everywhere, there's not a defined trail, and it deters them. I love it. Whoop, drift the corner. Nice. Cut through there. Whoa. Hop some logs. Woo! Oh yeah. I love it out here. You just kind of blaze your own trail. Super awesome. We'll go back through that wooded part again here. See if we can't do it a little faster than we did. So now, let's talk about the weight of this bike. A lot of people say that, oh, the DRZ400, it's so heavy. Like, no, it's not. I mean, compared to what, you know? Oh, we'll hit this at an offline. Oh, yeah, that was kind of fun. Bouncing over these logs. Whoa. Blazing our own trail. But yeah, so some people will be like, oh, the DRZ, it's so heavy. Well, so the factory spec for this bike, the curb weight is going to be 317 pounds. Now, to put that in perspective, the CRF300L by Honda, the curb weight on that is 308 pounds. So from the factory, this bike is 9 pounds heavier than the 300. You know, that's not enough to say, oh, well, this bike is heavy. Another log. Whoa. You know, a 9-pound difference is not enough to be like, oh yeah, that bike's significantly heavier. But when you get on the two, the DRZ does feel heavier, but let me tell you why that is. It goes back to the suspension. Like we said, you know, this bike has better suspension than the KLX300 and the CRF300. Well, let me turn around quick. But it has better suspension than the 300s, and so it wears its weight up a little bit higher. So just it wearing its weight, you know, just it sitting up a little bit higher. I think the seat height is about 2 inches higher, you know, from factory settings. The DRZ400 versus the 300L and Kawasaki's KLX300. So your DRZ sits up 2 inches higher right out of the gate, and then if you stiffen up that suspension, so like our bike here, I cranked on that rear shock and then I stiffened up the front end as well, all that I could. And so we are riding a very rigid, very stiff setup right now, and it makes the resting seat height of your bike sit about 1.5 inches higher. You know, just cranking that suspension. Well, we'll go down in here. Could be a bad idea. It looks a little hairy. But so just cranking the factory suspension on this thing is going to make your bike sit up higher as well. So that all is going to make it feel a little bit heavier, just the higher your bike sits up. But I just love it. I love the adjustability that you get out of the factory suspension on this. You know, it's awesome. I mean, because if you're going to that rocky off-road area, you know, if you're going to do some monster hill climbs, you're going to the sand dunes, you know, something like that, it's nice to have the option that you can just stiffen up your factory suspension, that you don't have to get new suspension or upgrade anything. So I love this bike for that. And I mean, to me, I've ridden a lot of motorcycles, right? So cruisers, sport bikes. Oh, I think I kind of saw an area that I'd like to go. We've ridden a lot of bikes, you know, the cruisers, the sport bikes, the dual sports, the scooters, just your full-fledged, you know, MX bikes that aren't even street legal. And I've never once thought that, like, oh, this DRZ, this bike is heavy. Like, never once. And it's probably the #1 complaint that people have about this bike is that it's just a heavy pig. And, you know, I don't quite understand it. I mean, you see us kind of ripping around through these, you know, little trails and areas and stuff. And, I mean, I'm doing fine. It doesn't seem like, you know, this is some absurd motorcycle. Uh-oh, we killed it there. Doesn't seem like this is some absurdly heavy motorcycle. You know, like, oh, we're at a standstill here and we got a spinner around, so we'll just kind of put some weight on the side, give her the beans, and then that's just a 360, you know, off-road, turning around. You know, there's our little lines right there. It doesn't, I mean, this bike isn't hard to maneuver around. Sorry, had to check the camera, make sure we were still filming. But, you know, I think it's when people start comparing these bikes to the, you know, some of the KTMs and things like that. I mean, a lot of those KTMs, you know, they're just ultralight. They have aluminum frames, whereas this one has a steel frame. You know, everything about them, from the construction of the engines and transmissions to the way the frame is, they're basically just a MX bike that has a headlight and tail light, and you can put a license plate on it. Which is cool, I guess, right? Because then you can be off-road, you know, exploring on a super lightweight motorcycle that you can really flick around, and you can get that thing a lot of different places. Kind of decide here on my line. Oh, maybe we'll go over to the left a little bit more, but so that is cool, right? To have a lighter bike off-road, but whoa, had to get through that. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, man. That was a cool part. Just crap everywhere. Sticks, logs. So back to the lightweight bike. So that's cool, you're rocking this lightweight bike off-road. Now as soon as you get back onto the highway, you're done playing in the dirt for the day, you're riding home, those lightweight bikes, those lightweight dual sports, you know, MX bikes, they're just not enjoyable to drive on the road. I mean, they're just so light that a gust of wind, you drive past a semi, it just blows you all over the place. I mean, it's unnerving. It's unnerving to say the least. Kind of get some air off this. Whoa! Really pointed our nose up in the air there. But, yeah, I mean, You know, you can be out on the open road on this DRZ cruising at 55, 60, 65, 70. You don't even think about it, right? Because it's got that weight. You know, you feel just a little bit more planted. It doesn't quite just get affected by every little thing like some of those KTMs will, and the Husqvarnas. I mean, gosh, they're cool. Don't get me wrong. You know, I've thought about going to, I don't know how far we're going to be able to, well, we'll go a little further. You know, I've thought about getting one of those 350 EXCs. Yeah, I think this might be about it today. Always got to check the prints too. There has been a mountain lion seen down here before, so you always kind of watch your back. Gosh, sand is so soft. That's funny. Well, we'll just kind of power through here to turn around. Yeah. Ah, shit. Stuff in my mouth. Well, we'll just kind of ride across here, and that's where we will turn around right there. Wow! Almost lost my footing there. Whoop. Coming through, coming through. But no, so I've thought about getting one of those 350s. You know, they kind of call it the ultimate dual sport enthusiast bike, because, you know, it's kind of the best of all worlds. A little more spunk than a 250 or 300, but a little bit lighter, a little bit easier to work with off-road than like a 450, 500, or 650. But those bikes cost so much. The maintenance intervals are terrible. Like, we can go 3,500 miles between oil changes on our DRZ here. You know, some of those KTMs are like oil changes every 500 miles. Like 500 miles? I'd be changing the oil more than I would be riding the darn thing. We'll rip this center line. Oh, that was kind of fun and scary and interesting. I'll rip this side here, go down and see if, oh yeah, it's nothing too terrifying. I mean, I think we'd survive. Woohoo! Sometimes, you know, you gotta give the bike just a extra little rev, a little more gas than you have to, you know. It's part of the fun. It is part of the fun. Okay, I'll rip one more of those quick. Gosh, that far right line kind of has a little, I don't know, tabletop type thing in the center, and then it goes back up. It looks a little sketchy. I don't think we'll take that one. Yeah, we're definitely not taking the far right one. Just kidding, we're taking it right now. Woohoo! Yep, that's a good old time right there. Woo! Gosh. Too fun. Oh, here's that log. Let's hop it again. All right, spring. And let that clutch out. Whoa! Right turn, left turn, gas, gas. Oh, we'll go around this way. Weasel up through here. And then we'll kind of hit this off kilter here. Oh yeah. Felt good. Felt good. love this motorcycle. Oh, and for anybody wondering, we do not have the factory tires on this. I have swapped them out for something a little bit more knobby, a little bit more off-road worthy. So, because I don't know that we would have gotten that far today if we just had the factory tires on. Now, I wonder if we will be able to get up that other side that has the snow. I don't know. Guess we'll go try it though. We're probably gonna have to carry some speed into that. Now we're buzzing through them in second gear at about 25 miles per hour. All right, let's see what in the world we got here. Huh. Well, we might be able to just skirt around that. I guess we'll see. Come on, baby. All right. Yep. Whoa! Oh, yeah. That was fun. Too fun, some might say. Oh yeah, look at that, just blowing the tire off that whole line. Oh, that's fun. Too fun. Wheelies! I like dropped the clutch on that and the rear tire was like blowing off as the front end was coming up. It was kind of like skirting sideways on me. Yeah, it was too wet back there. She wasn't going to pick up the front end at all. Well, and so I think we're gonna take just a little bit of a lunch break and we'll kind of talk about kind of our riding, you know, our thoughts on the DRZ so far. Well, and on the menu today is gonna be pizza and Pilsners, baby. Kind of sounds like a TV show, Pizza and Pilsners. That one got a little shook up on our riding, but that's all right, it's just a little extra frothy. So as far as all the riding we've done so far, you know, like I said, this isn't some crazy off-road test. You know, we're not in the sand dunes. We're not climbing mountains. These are just kind of tame, wooded trails. You know, we do try and get off the trail and blaze our own lines and just, you know, go wherever we see that looks cool. But and kind of what I love about this motorcycle is that you can just do anything with it. It's really just the jack of all trades. I mean, when it comes down to it, sure, you could find a dual sport that is, you know, better suited for, you know, more technical off-road obstacles. You know, you could find one that's geared a little bit higher, that has a little bit more weight to it, that it would seem a little bit more planted and solid, you know, on the highway. But as far as a dual sport that's just kind of right in the middle of the spectrum and is just a jack of all trades, it has to be the DRZ400. After all, it is probably my favorite motorcycle of all time. You know, it's middle of the spectrum as far as weight goes, and there's times and places where you want that weight, and there's times and places that you don't. So to have a dual sport that's super light, yeah, it's great for technical off-road things, but then on your highway commute home from playing all day, it's less than enjoyable. And it's not really ideal to take like a KLR 650 or a Yamaha Tenere or something like that off-road. You know, it's just a little bit heavier than it needs to be, than you want it to be. Like that 400, it's just got enough torque, enough power that it can kind of pull you through and get you over really anything you put it through. For me, it's the torque on this 400 that just sells it. You know, some of those 300s, you know, the Honda in particular, it just kind of feels gutless. You know, you'll have a little power once you get the thing wound up, you kind of get your RPMs up, but it doesn't have the low-end torque that this DRZ400 does. At the end of the day, there's just a lot of really good dual sports out there right now. You'd be pretty hard-pressed to find a dual sport that we'd say is a bad dual sport. They're all kind of a little bit different. They're all kind of good in their own way. They're all kind of good for something particular. But here's my advice for anybody shopping for the right dual sport. Okay? Are you listening? Are you ready for this? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The bike you get does not matter as much as you think it does. It just does not. Rider skill far outweighs and is far more important and will get you many more places than having some super state-of-the-art dual sport. Like any of the riding that we did today, we could have done on a 650, a 250, a 150, like we could have done all that riding on an Africa Twin, a 1000, like absolutely. Rider skill and ability is far more important than the machine that you are on. If you haven't been practicing, you haven't been working on your skills, you know, whether it's on-road, off-road, and you get the newest, latest, and greatest motorcycle ever, that's awesome. That is great, but there is no way that you will ever be able to take that motorcycle to its potential. You don't have the skill because you were focused on just getting the greatest, coolest bike you could, and you thought that that bike was going to make you a better rider. So it's just realizing that your skill level is far more important, building your skills and your ability, than say the motorcycle that you get, the motorcycle that you're on. And as soon as you realize that, and as soon as you build those skills, you will find that maybe you don't need the dual sport that you thought you did. And I have realized that, like the places and things that I have done, seen, gone on this DRZ400 are incredible. Like I have conquered the craziest off-road hill climbs you can imagine, just out in the mountains and the woods. I think this bike is perfectly light enough, nimble, and flickable enough to do anything you would want to off-road. It's got the suspension to back it up, the power to pull it through. And like I said, this bike is just kind of in the middle of the spectrum as far as dual sports stuff goes. Like this motorcycle can do far more than I am able to do. I've been riding dirt bikes and motorcycles for over 20 years now. And yeah, that DRZ400 has more ability, more capability than I do, but like by far. Maybe one day I'll be able to take that bad girl to her limit. Probably not, and that's great. So on top of it having the capability, you know, everything it needs to satisfy, this is one of the most reliable dual sports ever made, and very few people will argue with that. Parts and aftermarket goodies are cheaper for this bike than any other dual sport ever, because it's gone unchanged for so long. You know, the same parts will fit the 2000 model year and the 2024 model year. You know, they have the S version, which we have here, so the more dirt-oriented, styled bike, and then they have the supermoto version as well. So the supermoto's got the 17-inch wheels and then the inverted forks, but the S model is just more practical for us and the things that we like to do, which is just go off-road, start exploring, you know, play in the dirt. You know, only 1% of the world is paved. So, do you want to stay on that 1%? Or do you want to go explore and play in that 99? I want to explore the 99. So, the 400S, greatest possible bike that I could hope for. I can be 100 miles from anything. I'm not worried about nothing. I can always be riding, never wrenching on the bike because the maintenance intervals are awesome. If you have $7,000, you can get one of these brand new. Like brand new, 0 miles on it if you got 7 grand. That's why we just went to the dealership and bought this one, this 2023 brand new, is because it didn't make sense to buy a used one. Everybody wanted, you know, 55 to 65 for their used DRZ400. So it was like, well, I got a couple bucks to put on top of that. Let's just get a brand new one. And they haven't changed the looks of this thing since 2000. So it looks like a dual sport from 20 years ago. It totally is. And then it has a carburetor. You know, it's not fuel injected, which really doesn't matter because it's one cylinder. You know, a carburetor versus fuel injection to me doesn't matter when there's one cylinder. You don't have to sync, balance, nothing. If your carb is clean, everything runs perfect. But if you're the kind of person that the carburetor and the older looks bother ya, yeah, the DRZ is probably not for you. You know, you're just not gonna fully appreciate this bike for what it is. So, and that's totally fine. There's a bike out there for everybody. But if you want a powerful, reliable, capable dual sport, DRZ's it. The DRZ's the winner. All right, we're gonna finish up our pizza here and then we're gonna go out and take a couple more laps back in here. Tear through some corners real quick and then we'll be out of here. Oh yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, let's go this way. Kind of go through the opposite way that we came because we were always coming the other direction here. We could go up there, we could go this way. Ooh, I see a tougher line if we kind of cut up around there. Whoa! Oh yeah. Let's see. Well, we'll just jump that quick. Ugh. Oh yeah, this is gnarly in here. Oh, let's see if we can't bang up this quick. Alright. Not too bad. I mean, we made it, but... oh, what the heck is down there? Well, guess you never know until you know, right? Whoa! Oh man. Well, that's a 3.5 right there. I wonder if we could just kind of work our way over this part of it. Maybe. Maybe not. Well, just gonna send it. Got it. Whoa. You know, it's all the stuff off of us. It's just difficult with the ground being a little wet. Sometimes when I need just a burst of speed or I'm trying to pick up my front end a little bit, get some weight off of it, my rear tire just spins and I can't. Makes it difficult. But we're getting up stuff, so we're call it a day. And then our hills again. Which one do we hit this time? A line that we've never hit, maybe. Whoa, that sure is fun, you know? Not some huge hill, not some crazy hill climb. I mean, what, that's probably 15, 16 feet tall, but it's just kind of cool to carry some speed up it. Wow! She got a little rear end, got a little loosey-goosey on us, but that's, whoa! That's what it's all about. Oh, is there one last line that we could rip? I was thinking of like cutting between those trees, but it looks like it gets a little gnarly there, and we're just out here alone, so you know, we're having fun, but we got to be smart to a certain extent. We don't want to get hurt or get ourselves in a hairy situation that we can't get out of. I'm not really sure. I think that's a dead end back in there. If I were to guess, this little trail's gotta lead somewhere though. Between the trees. Woo! Okay, alright. We just kind of goof around and go wherever. If you haven't noticed, my plan is always to have no plan. That's always just the best way to do it. Vines and stuff all over us. Whoa! Yeah, I always goose it in the corners. And we're starting to see that. You see my little tracks and stuff. Whoa! And sometimes I really bang into second gear, catch a little air. Alright. That is fun. It's just plain fun, kids. Oh, through the snow. Nothing can stop us on our DRZ400. Wheelie through the trails. And you know, all that low end torque that this 400 has, gosh, I mean, I won't even touch the clutch and you just kind of hammer on the gas through some of these trails. Oh man, that got hairy towards the end. And that's what we like, baby! Well, and we made it home, guys. So our DRZ is nice and dirty. That was kind of a cold, sloppy ride. I had this thing just so clean over the winter, and now she is a filthy, sloppy mess. And that's exactly how your DRZ is supposed to look. If it doesn't look like that, you're not riding it right. Well, and hopefully this video gives you guys some insight on exactly how the DRZ400 kind of rides. But yeah, just an all-around great machine, kind of just the jack of all trades, you know, in the dual sport world. It's tried, true, it's reliable, it's affordable. There is zero reason that you shouldn't get one of these machines. So, like the video if this helped you out, subscribe if you want to see more, and until next time, have a wonderful night, guys.